Hello my fellow viewers, I'm the viewer. And what we have here is not one but two Transformers Cybertron Menasor. Now, this one here, I was lucky enough to grab this off of eBay for around 50 bucks, so not breaking the bank too much. This one is in rather, well, quote-unquote, fair condition. Everything but no cyber key and no minicon. But he has these things, and these things are worthwhile. But originally, I got this one so I could repair this one, because this one, even though it has his main parts, it is in, interesting shape. Now, I guess for some extra context, this guy here I bought in a lot. He came with a bunch of junk and other Transformers and stuff, and apparently he also came with one of his buckets and this chest cannon here too. So I'm going to be primarily doing this video because I know how much about pain in the ass getting Menasor is. I mean, you can get a brand new one, but if you want to break the bank, be my freaking guest. So, like I said earlier, I was lucky enough to get this one. There was another auction I tried to get a second one, but that's a story for another day. Obviously, the easiest thing to do would just be to grab these wings and put them there and then call it a day, right? But instead, how about we still tear this guy down just so we see how, how he works on the inside. I don't see why not. If you look at the damages here, the claw right here can't close because whatever pieces of plastic that were there they're broken off. And this one right here, yeah, the drill works and everything, but you can see the pieces of plastic that's protruding out here are also broken off. Not sure if you'll be able to see that right there, broken plastic. And my favorite part, this one is rather flimsy. There you go. Yeah, that tends to happen. Now this one, on the other hand, originally, like I said, I was gonna use this one to actually fix this up, replace the arm, fix up some legs, because for some reason, whoever had this before me either dropped a lot of ketchup on this, or maybe the ratchet inside the spring is rusting. I don't know, it's leaking out. But this one is just in all good shape, besides, minus the wings. For example, look at that. Nice, hard, stiff ratchets. Now look at this one. And since this figure is so rare, obviously if you end up breaking it or something happens, well, you're kind of screwed, because a lot of people are very, I guess you could say, scared to open up their figure, especially one as rare as this one. But, you gotta do what you gotta do. So, what are you gonna need for this? At least what I'm gonna use is I'm gonna use this screwdriver set, relatively small. Also has some Q-tips just to clean up some of the dust in those hard to reach areas. And for what we're gonna do here, on this bucket fold, the paint has seen better days, so you can either go to any hobby shop or just any art store just so you can get some proper paint, or you can do what I did and just freaking heckle the paint guy at the freaking auto parts store I work at and then get some free paint. But as long as you're able to get some paint, we'll be able to do that. Some paintbrushes, and then that's it. So let's get started. Even though this Menasor is a billion times better than this one, due to his ratchets actually being in good shape, this weird cylinder thing has been broken off. Well, the very tip of it, if you're able to see it right there. So, we're gonna swap them. But how do we do that? Inside his chest, there's a screw right here. Just use a very small cross screwdriver, and just have at it. There you go. Just like that. Hold on to the screw though, you don't want to lose them. Because if you lose these, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Now that's off, we're going to wiggle this off. Like I said, it's going to... Oh, look at that. Came right off. Never mind. So as you see, if we come to the Menasor right here, you can see right there, it seems like that piece did pop off. When we look at this one, you can see right there, it looks like it can do the same thing, but let's not risk actually breaking it since it's clear plastic. It'll just be best just to replace the whole thing. And we will do the exact same thing. Open her up by the chest. Unscrew that. For some reason on this one, the screw likes to stuck there. I don't know, but it will still come off. Right there, see? Came right off. And I guess it's a good thing to leave the screw there because because of how deep this hole is, it is a bit of a pain to put that screw back in. It's possible, but again, it's a pain. So we'll put this, the new one, right here. And then we'll just screw him back up. Again, luckily it's still there. So just push there nice and tight. Close it. Since this part isn't really operated, tighten it as much as you want. Make sure it stays there. And there you go. He has a new piece right there. Now for Menasor's back wings. Again, like I said earlier, these are the wings that get lost the most. If you can find Menasor on eBay, but you're gonna find him like this. Like I said, this one's in good shape, but without the wings, he is worthless. You can have him, but he won't transform properly, all because of this, the shovel that becomes his front when he's in, drill mode. So for this, pop them off. Now, these things are a little loose when they're on Menasor. If you saw how they were just flailing around earlier. So what we're going to do is that later, we're going to tighten this thing up when we pop them on these. But, like I said, I have a third one, so technically I have two of these. So, we'll see which one's in good shape, and we'll hold one as a backup. But I'm going to be using the one that came with this one, primarily because if you look at the paint, the paint here is a lot straighter, but the paint here, you can see there's a bit of like a blur right there. Like when they printed this dude out, they kind of, or this one you can see there was a bit more care taken on that one. But either way, we're still going to be using the paint that we have right there to touch up all these little cracks, due to age and stuff right there. You see that? And same thing on this one. But we're going to put these to the side right now. And for his chest, like I said, this one came with another cannon. Which, funny enough, I thought this was one piece, but turns out it's actually two pieces with a screw right there. I'm going to tighten this one up right now just so there's less movement. There we go. There we go. Nice and tight. Just click it right there. There you go. You heard that nice click? And apparently this one's is actually a lot tighter than this one. This one just goes up whenever. You can actually feel some force on this one, but I don't know. Alright, so, putting all this stuff away. Like I said, originally, the idea was for me to take the arm of this one and replace this one due to the fact that his plastic is broken. And there's no ratchet joint on this one. So apparently when I got this one, I noticed that the screws here, right there, and right here, were actually swapped with two screws here and here. So the guy who had this before me actually already opened this thing up. So what happened was that when he opened it up, there's a little piece of plastic in there that attaches to the ratchet on his arm here that makes a click sound. But he most likely lost it, and because of that, that's why it's just a regular swivel with no ratchet. And because of that, that's why these pins are also gone too. But enough of that. Let's actually tear this thing down and see how we will have done it. So I'm going to be using a slightly larger steel cross screwdriver. And what we would do would be we would just unscrew that. Because this center screw is the largest one that holds the whole ratchet together. And obviously don't be afraid to actually be a bit, what's the Well, you don't have to be afraid because this ratchet's in good shape. So if it pops off on you, don't worry about it. You can always put it back on. Right there, you see? Lost all weight now, and bang. This is what we will have done. Now with that arm removed, and don't do that. Don't drop everything. Okay. Now that I picked all those up, and there goes Menasor. So this was the arm, like I said, that we were going to replace, and that is the, I can see the thing that makes all the clicks. And the thing that makes all the clicks is actually this little piece of plastic right here. Let me put my hand there so you can see it. There you go. Now, this is a thing that a lot of people lose or are afraid to lose as soon as they pop their figure open. But, you know, like I said, no need to panic. All you gotta do is just stick this piece down here. And I dropped it again because of course I did. You know, this is the front of Menasor's shoulder. That little gap right there is where you would place this. Sometimes it could be a little stingy to get in there, but as long as it's in there. And then as soon as it closes, which that's where it would close, that's where all the clicking would come from. And this too would be also where the clicking on the other side would go. Make sure that's there. And no need to worry about what position it is, because here on the Menasor figure, you have a hole right there and a hole right there where that black piece to go. So you don't have to worry too much about its positioning because everything is self-explanatory, which is why this Menasor figure is actually extremely easy to work on because everything is self-explanatory. You have other figures where you got springs and stuff in it, and as soon as everything pops up, oh, congratulations, you have a new project on your hands. But not with the Menasor one. Everything is actually, at the very least, very simple. So like I said, this is his arm. What we will have done is do the exact same thing to the other one and just swap arms. But we're gonna leave it like that for now. And we will do the exact same thing with his other arm. That one doesn't, so at least I could explain a few things. Okay, now that I'm holding on to this one, right there. This is how it's supposed to look. So, that small piece of plastic that I showed earlier, right there, it's sandwiched in between this gear and the whole solder piece, right there. That's why you can't see it. And the spring that sprung out earlier, it would go right here, where that other, you know, black piece of plastic would go. Right there. You pull this out slowly, and there it is. Let me zoom on that. There's that little piece of plastic again. Sandwich it right there, just so you don't lose it. And just like that, we will have done the same thing. If this one was in any other shape, we will just replace the arms. Now, sometimes with ratchets, the reason why they... Let me drop this down. No, wait. Let me get from this one. The reason why ratchet joints would, at least for some figures, not for all, would start to wear out is because the plastic here, just so you can see that one, would start to bend in a certain direction. More likely it would bend downwards, kind of making a bit of a slope. And because of that, this little piece right here, the little piece in the middle, that little piece in the middle, the little bump, that bump is what's having contact with the ratchet, and that's where you hear all the clicks from. So the reason why the clicks, you know, they either start to lose their strength is because that has less and less contact over the years. So what you could do is that you could always put the thinnest piece of cardboard like on top of it, just to give it like a few nanometers of height inside the area. For example, we don't have to here because this one's in perfectly good shape, but just like a very thin piece of, like just a construction paper or anything, place it right there, then place this piece of plastic right on top of it, and boom. You know, put as many layers as you want to get that ratchet noise back. But don't do too much because I don't have it right here right now, but I tried super gluing the ratchets on a Crumple Zone figure, and yeah, not like the ratchet itself, but the piece of plastic. And the only thing that happened was that the thing broke after a single spin. So yeah, don't use super glue. try using as driest method as you can. So that's pretty much it for his arms. Now, to put his arms away and to put some of these buckets away, one thing that really has been brought to my attention was the fact that Menasor has these mini-com ports that go inside his legs. So, whenever people try to stand him, you're gonna get this weird outcome. Okay? And especially with this one, like I said, this one, since this was in good shape, this one, his crotch piece here tabs in nicely, but the crotch piece on this one does not. And these mini-com ports are kind of useless. Not only that they push his legs out, they also, right there you see, they cause his crotch piece to push out more, especially how this one's rather weak too. Now we could strengthen it by tightening down all these screws right here. And I don't know, for some reason this version of Menasor, when I opened this one up earlier, has this weird clay thing inside for some reason. I don't know what that is. Like I said, the guy who had this figure before me, apparently this one survived two households with children, and the guy who had it previously actually opened it up to try to see what's the crack, but he wasn't careful and he lost pieces. So, to get back on topic, this might be a cardinal sin, but I was actually thinking that why not we switch the legs? Have the mini-com ports sticking out instead of inwards. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. Let's give it a shot. So first we're going to unscrew these. Screw it here. We're going to start with his left leg. A lot of the screws they tend to be the same size, but it's best if they're already separated. So, all the screws that you pulled out for the arms, keep them in the arm pile, and all the screws that you take out for the legs, keep them in the leg pile. Just for future reference. You can still use, it's easy to tell which screws are which. Like for example, this screw right here goes in the center, and this screw right here, a much thinner one, not sure if you'll see that, a much thinner one, a bit thinner, goes into that much smaller hole. Now that we have that out, just so you can avoid having stuff spring out on you, you just slowly take one piece out. And right there's one piece of plastic. And right here, I'm going to hold it right here, just so you can see. That piece right there is what that black piece of plastic is what causes the ratchet to work. Put my thumb there. Right there, you see, you heard that click? Obviously because it has no strength because I opened it up. But with that crumple zone figure I was mentioning earlier, his ratchet joints in his legs have something very similar to this. But the issue is that I thought it was a good idea to put something in there to actually push it up, and because of that, it was doing like some unnecessary pushing on the figure, and also on one side it was folded. You know how when you fold plastic it starts to get weaker. So because of that, I super glued it, I held it there, and as soon as I get for one whole circle, and that popped out. On the one, the crumple zone broke. But I'm gonna hold it right here. No need to worry, if it pops out, just stick it back in. Stick it back in. Like the last thing you need to do is panic. Because if you panic, well then you're gonna be dropping a lot more things. So now we're gonna remove that all the way. And this is Menasor's leg. So take that off. Again, be extra careful with this piece right here. So you can just leave it right there just so you can keep it wedged there for later. And we would just do the same thing with his other leg. Again, take a look at that. Do the same thing. Slowly. I mean, you can take it out as fast as you want, but I take it out slowly just so things don't fly out. And there's his other leg. And here is Menasor. Complete vegetable now. Well, you can still do that. So, coming back to his legs. So, what will we do in this scenario? Flip it like that, and have the mini-com ports pointing outwards. That would mean that in his vehicle mode, his mini-com ports would be pointed inwards. And quite frankly, it's not as much of a big deal. So I'll stop talking and we'll actually do it. So what we would do is just take this piece off. Again, just hold that black piece of plastic. You don't want it to fly out. And take this piece off. And switch them. That's really it. Now that we switched them, we can put them back on. So we'll leave this leg. I would like to point out you don't have to screw it too tight, because I'm going to show you why in just a sec. Because if you screw it too tight here in the center, yeah, right there, it becomes too tight and the ratchet won't work properly. So you got to unscrew that just a little bit. There you go. There you go. See, there's no need to over tighten, because if you over tighten, you're going to get into problems you don't want to face later. How does this look now? Now with his minicon ports pointed outwards, obviously now he can just be standing straight without any issue. Now let's put his arms back on. It really doesn't matter which side goes on, but because they're usually the same. So what we would do is that. Right there, the tab one right there, tab right there. Just stick this right there. Make sure the spring is there. And right there. Right, it was this arm that was there. Like I said, if this one was in any worse shape, I would have been doing those techniques to just make the ratchet where that little piece of plastic is thicker to make the ratchet stronger. But because that one's in in real good shape, we don't need to. But either way, we'll put his arm back on. Stick that right there. Just be extra careful. You don't want the thing to fly out because there's a spring right there. So we'll just grab one of these pieces right here of the back of his shoulder and just push. Now you really have to make sure you have one hand on it, because if you let go, because of the spring, it's gonna pop right off. So we're gonna use that. Put his arm back on. Always get the middle spring first, because at the very least, he's gonna hold things in. And yeah, you can tighten that as much as you want, because I don't believe that this is gonna affect how that one is. Screw right there. Yeah, just put the screw right there. Yeah, at least when it comes to Menasor's arms and legs, so he has like the rule of 3. I'm trying to focus it there. Keep bumping into the camera. Now, I sort of said this in the beginning, this isn't like a proper toy review. That will come later. Because like I said, I want to tear this thing down and see how we can replace things that need replacing in the event if it ever happens. Because not many people do that. Okay, there we go. So now Menasor's nice and tight. And now we'll do the same thing with his other arm. And there you go. We just put Menasor back together. Simple, just like that. Now, let's actually take a good look at his legs. Let me lower that just a bit. What the hell am I doing? There we go. That way. So here's Menasor's legs with his mini components pointing outwards. And now here's the other Menasor with his mini ports pointed inwards. I'm just saying, which one looks better? Alright, so let's put him away. Now, just so we can see how it looks, with his Minicom ports pointed the opposite direction, I'm just plugging these fins back in. We're going to transform him and see how it looks with that. Obviously, with his transformation, it's pretty self-explanatory, but right there, you see, without these wings, he's not going to have a single swivel, and it's just going to be his exposed head. But still, no one's going to want to see that. Obviously, this piece is supposed to go right there, but we already know how it's going to look. So put Menasor's arms up. Flip them. Now that we flip them, we notice that the Minicom ports are pointed inwards now. But that's not going to be an issue because they're going to be moved out to the side either way. I guess it's pretty much where if you want Minicom ports in vehicle mode or Minicom ports in robot mode. Because, let's put this down now. Yeah, just connect that there, connect that there, and right there. You have, let's lower that. We have Menasor in vehicle mode. And let's flip it back. As you see, his Minicom ports are on the inside. So you still could put a Minicom here or here, but having one down here or down there would be a bit more clumsy. So again, you could either have him with Minicom ports on the outside if his legs were in the original position, or you can have Minicom ports on his legs when he's in robot mode. I don't know, it really just depends. I don't know, quite personally I prefer it that way because he gets way more posability in robot mode. Because, I guess a bit of an unpopular opinion, I do like how this vehicle mode look. But like I said, I'm not going to dwell too much on that. This is not the toy review. So, now that we got that out of the way, you see, he just has more posability when these Minicom ports are not in the way when he's in robot mode. And not even that much in the way when he's in vehicle mode. So it's just an idea to have. Now, I guess this is a bit of a bonus. We're going to work on this area right here. Like I said, this little joint here that connects, that flips up and down. We're going to take that off right there. It's only 2 screws that hold it in. There's one. And this is where the ratchet to his legs are. You know, this is where these ratchets are. So, I'm going to open that up. It's only 2 screws holding him down, so there's no need to worry about, well, just put him in the right spot, you won't lose him. And then slowly, same thing, just slowly pull it out. Slowly pull it out. Because right there, you see that? There's a piece of plastic right there, just like the other one. That's what causes the ratchet to move. So we're just going to hold it right there to the side, so we don't lose it. Now we're going to pull this out, and there's Menasor's leg. Now right here, we can pull this whole thing out. Well, now we don't have to pull it all out. This is what I was talking about. I don't know what this is. Whoever had this before me clearly opened this up. Get on out of the way. There's this weird plastic clay thing. I'm taking it off because there's no point having it. What is this? What is this, earwax? I don't get. Who put that there? And we're just gonna do the same thing with the other side. Same thing, slowly we will take it up. No, okay, this camera by itself. I guess this one preferred to be on that side then. Right there, see? There's that piece right there. If the camera would focus, there we go. And right there. The gear right there will just sandwich right there. And just like that. So like if you want to increase the strength of these ratchets, just look at some construction paper, cut a very small piece, place it right in there to fit it, and place it on top of it just to give it like just to give it some extra height so it can have more contact with the gear. But yeah, that's how you can remove these pieces of Menasor's crotch piece. Alright, so yeah. So let's just put his legs back in now. Stick that one right there. And let's see. That one right there. Well, no, it's very noisy today. Nah, well, it is what it is. So, put that right there. Remember that I have that plastic piece right there. And you just want to make sure that clicks in properly. The best way to do it is to stick it from. If you look right there, the plastic right here is going to wedge into this plastic right there. As soon as it gets in there, right there. It should be just fine. Oh, that's what's there. It's a ratchet piece. So there wasn't a piece. So I would say the best thing to fix this one would be to just really tighten up the joints. You know, screwdriver or whatnot. Tighten it. Tighten it. Yeah. Yeah, this thing has lost its click. Let's say it lost its click. Why is it getting dark? Years ago. But that's how you can open up this crotch piece. The ratchets are a little louder, so that's a plus. Alright then. So again, going back, those Minicom ports don't look too bad on the other side. So before we move on to the paint portion, I'm actually going to do the paint outside because smooth side. This paint right here is primarily for his bucket right there, just to touch up, and for his leg, just for the paint on his legs, on his feet, I mean, and the paint on his chest, just to clean that up. But this paint is strong, super strong, because this is actually paint that you use for cars. But you can really use any paint for these guys, but you know, this paint is actually real durable and it's just as strong as the paint they have on. So we'll do that. And like I said, I mean, if you want, hang on. This is like the paint code that's used. So if you ever do want to do this yourself, you can go into any paint store and give them these codes right there. And I also painted the type of paint that is right there. It's just a thought. You don't have to do it, but if you're able to, again, like I said, I was able to, heckle the paint guy where I work at. But I'm gonna do that outside because this paint is strong. It's super strong. All right, so give us a moment. I guess an emergency update. So even though yes, this Menasor is working in good shape, I also realized that right here, apparently, he's got something going on with his chest right here, where it looks like it's bending the other way. Yeah. Put the damn dog in. Okay. So what I'm doing here is that I'm gonna have to replace this piece right here with the front piece of the other Menasor. So I guess we are going to do a full teardown. So we're just going to take his head off right there. That's his head. And this is his chest canopy. So we can show it how it closes. I realize now that the reason why that one's not closing is because, as you can see earlier, apparently it's bent. And that damn microwave is on. Alrighty, so I already disassembled this Menazor's chest, so we're going to do it for this one because we're just going to be switching the whole thing, because now I'm realizing why, even though I filed this down, that's not staying in. So what we're going to do is that obviously let's take a good look at Menasor real quick. This one. I'm going to keep them right there because, again, you do not want those ratchets to be flying off on you. So let me just move the camera right there so you can see that. There you go. Now you can take a good look at those ratchets and that little piece of plastic right there. So we're going to be doing the same thing to the other Menasor now. And here are these screws. Hey, what the heck? Where'd the third one come from? Oh no, yeah. The third one came from there. The fourth one, I mean. There they are. So, 4 screws. Let's take a good look at his head over here. This head might be, actually no, there is some paint detail. We might just stick with the other head there. But for Menasor, what we will do here, make sure that everything clicked into place. Yeah, right when I was in the middle of transforming him was when I noticed this. Let's take a good look at that gaping hole. Let me raise the camera. Right there. Right there, you see? That gaping hole right there. It's even worse on this side. So you can see that gaping hole right there. Apparently the plastic here got warped. So what we're gonna do, just hold Menasor like that. We gotta hold his chest down, that's the only way we can open it. This is gonna be a little tricky, because we're gonna need, let me put that away. Again, you don't want those pieces flying off. We're gonna need this type of screw. I don't know the name of this. I bought this in freaking Mexico at some point. But it's the only one I had that's thin enough to actually go in there. But its handle is miserable. So what you gotta do is get yourself a pair of pliers. Just anything really. So now I'm going to just gently place him down. Because again, you don't want his things just to pop right open. Right there. So. Let's close that. Yeah, see? The plastic on this one is warped. Something happened to him. Apparently, I'm going to say that's more of a manufacturer issue. Head down. So there's all the screws. Let's take them out. Let's take them out. Let's take them out. Again, these screws are in good shape. They're not rusty. They're not corroded or anything. There are bits to get out sometimes. Keep these 4 in a pile. But this chest piece of Menasor has a much tighter grip on his cannon, so let's take that off. But then see this one? This one has a much better relationship with this thing because it's straight. Take that off. Put this one right there. So now he has a new chest piece. Let's see. Yeah, I saved this down a little too much, but with that a flat glue, you could always just thicken it up a little more. But yeah, this one actually closes much nicer. There you go. So now, this piece we're going to replace with this piece right here, because this one closed nicely. Apparently something's going on with this one. I don't get why it doesn't want to stick all the way in. Yeah. Some plastic right there. I'll stick that right there. Yeah, see that arm just came right off because there's nothing holding it in. That went in. We're going to plug Menasor's arm back in. You gotta be really careful. You don't want anything to be jumping out. And stick his chest back in. Let me just grab his arms. Grab his arms. Up and pop up. Put that back there. Let me adjust the camera. Okay, so yeah, and now I really gotta be careful with Menasor's arm here. Yeah, it's like freaking doing open heart surgery. Let me grab this lid right here just so his back has something to rest on. Yeah, we're getting serious now. It's back in the chair, just so you guys can see it. Use that piece of plastic again. Yeah, I know I got people sick in the other damn room because of course I do. So it seems like this piece of plastic didn't go in properly. And then what happened was that during manufacturing, it was placed different. And because of that, the plastic warped the chest plastic piece. Yeah, this is the one that didn't cooperate. This is the one that does. Right back there. So make sure everything's there. And I mean, I do know which Menasor head is which. This is the one that came off of the one that needed placing. This is the one that had extra paint detailing, which you can actually see the paint right there. But I say let's go with this Menasor head. Actually, they're both fine. It really doesn't matter which one. But this one is cleaner and better safe, so I guess we'll go with that one. The original one, I mean. So head goes right there. Okay. This is Menasor's chest. Let's see, it's just I'm just going to just see it's better shape down there. And we gotta stick this. We gotta stick them in carefully, okay? Don't want this stuff to pop out again. Easy. 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 So look at it. This is really the important part of this. Stick it right there. There we go. Clicks there, and right there. You see, now it's much better. Now it's actually willing to close. So now what are we gonna do? With the good screws, I have them right here. Just put stuff right there. And we're gonna put these screws back in. I mean, if you had a screwdriver that was long and thin enough, then you wouldn't have to be doing this. What the heck was that? Oh, look at that. A piece of plastic just fell off. Actually, no, wait, what is this? Oh, no, this is from the freaking ratchet. Never mind. From the plier. But now, let's take a good look at it now. Look at that. Much better. Much, you can't see that. Much better right there. Right there. So, like I said, while I was editing, I noticed that, so there you go. I completely forgot about that, but that's open. You can open that piece up too. Hello. All right. So for this painting portion, what we're gonna do with these paints right here, and some of these paint with these paint pens as well. It's a black and a red one. We're gonna be painting, just doing some touch-up details on Menasor here. Okay, so we're gonna pop these back wings off, and this is where we're gonna start with. Officially, with this toy being, at least when this video is coming out, it's on its way to being 20 years old. So this guy's old enough to drive. So right here, you can see how there's just a lot of paint that has just worn off throughout the years. Side right there. Heck, even right here on this one, you can see that they missed a line or two. And right here on this one, on this side, let's see if you can focus that in. Right there, you see the paint is lacking there. So we're going to grab a piece of tape and just place it there so we don't put paint where we don't want it to be. Now for this one, let me stick this around. Obviously, it's best to see if you can try to get the paint as close as you can to this. Actually, this one's dried, and I've toned up this one, so we shouldn't have too much of an issue. And we're going to be painting Menasor's toes as well, right here. And if you notice, yes, on the good Menasor, I switched his mini-com ports, so now they're facing outwards. Okay. So, right here, with just some tape, I'm going to gonna match it up right there, because we don't want the paint to go into places we don't want it to go. Now, for this, it's always best to have at least something, like a notebook, just so you don't get the table dirty. Let's pop this paint open. Oh yeah, that smells. And right here. Paintbrush. A small thin one, you really don't need that much. Right there. Much. There's the paint. Just make sure. Now right here. Just gonna tap it right there. Right there. That's all we need. We don't need that much. And it goes rub off. Some of that we don't need. You know, just so we can paint a little bit more. Just a little more. Not too much. Right there. Now, what I'm gonna do is that just rub some of that off my finger, just so it has a nicer, smaller tune. Gonna lift this piece of paint up, this piece of tape, I mean. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm gonna touch up all these little holes right there. Be able to see that. Come on, if the camera focus. Move the camera actually, because here I am in the garage now, and I have the garage door open, so we have some natural light. Right there. Oh, you're able to see that, I assume. Okay. Just light taps. You don't want to. You don't want to use so much of it. You don't want to eclipse the original paint. Just enough to touch up those little holes. Right there. Right. Oh, can't see that. Right there. And right there. Yeah, see, just enough. You know, we want to make sure he looks fresh out of the box. Then again, even some figures fresh out of the box tend to have some issues. Especially nowadays. And I'm also going to paint this side right here. So we're going to move that right there. Because why not? Because this having a gaping blue line would look strange in front of him. Oh, we're just going to paint it there. Right there. You can see that, yes, you can. Right there. Let's say it does take a lot of patience for this, so yeah, just take a look. As soon as the paint dries, you're gonna see a difference. Just like that. So now, that's what I'm gonna do. You don't have to do this, but I want to paint just the underside right here. Just a little bit. From the corner right there, corner right there, and right there. There we go. Just so it's not as noticeable as in vehicle mode. Oh yeah, that looks very nice actually. Just let it dry and the color should adjust itself. And this is what you're gonna do is you can get a dry brush just to fan that off if you want, which that's what I'm gonna do right here. Let's see, just a dry brush. Just to blend that paint a bit more. Okay. And same thing right here. You gotta love those vehicles outside. With that there, let's take off the rest of this tape. And there you go, that doesn't look too bad. A little dab of paint wouldn't hurt. Right there in the middle, so we'll do that. Actually, no, actually that's pretty good actually. No, we don't need any. That's this first one. Obviously, it would be the exact same thing with this other one. So let's put that to the side, let that dry. And let me look up this because this one has the paint on. This one has seen better days. So, same thing. And there you go. So right here, now that I got that both adjusted. So now on both sides, you can see how the paint is dried nicely. On both sides actually. Like I said, there's still a bit there, but I'm gonna adjust that later myself. But yeah, that doesn't look too bad. His shovel or his bucket area on Menasor looks rather nice. You know, like I said, right here, I could do a bit more adjusting paint, or I could just scratch this off. You guys can do whatever you want, but I'm just going to readjust that myself later. Now let's come to the rest of his body. Right here, let me put this paintbrush away. Close that, because man, that stuff smells. Even with the garage, these damn cars, even with the garage door open, it still smells a lot. So, we're just gonna do some touch-ups here. Now on this tread, get rid of that tape. You don't need it anymore. Right here. So, not sure if you'll see it, but there's been some chips of Menasor's paint here on his treads. So we're gonna grab this black paint pen right here. Because this is black, you can grab any black pen, or heck, even a marker if you want to. You don't have to go crazy for the treads. The paint on his treads are rather durable, so it's not too much of an issue. Just set him down or keep him on his stomach and let him dry. Because this paint, for some reason, takes much longer to dry than the other. I don't know why. No, it is car paint, so that makes no sense. Alrighty. Okay. So, for this paint, for this darker green paint for Menasor now, a little bit on the brush, on the second brush. So we actually don't need that much for Menasor here, because the paint here, at least you see on this toe, there's just barely any detail issues on it. Well, except the fact there's a little too much, because there's like a little, I'm not sure if you can see that. See a little bit too much paint there, but that's fine. That could rub off, it could scratch off later. Well, he really just has like a little, I'm not sure if you can see that. Little dot right there, just paint over it, just like that, little dot. And the only other place where Menasor actually has paint issues is up top. So let me erase that. And the ice cream truck's here. Nah, but I don't eat too much sugar, so it's fine. So, a little dot right there. Unfortunately, I wish you guys can see it, but it's right there. Let's do that. There you go, just a little bit. And there's a little more right there. Again, I wish you guys could see it. And just a little bit more paint. Again, you really don't need that much paint for Menasor. And speaking of his chest, hang on 1 second. Oh come on, that's not even an ice cream truck. It's an ice cream van, and it's gone. Damn, I was about to turn the camera. Now, the only other thing I want to do here, because Menasor, at least this Menasor, doesn't need that much paint improvements. But right here, for some reason, the manufacturers put some silver paint, or maybe it was the guy who had it before me. And you can scratch that off, but I don't know, I've been scratching that off for almost 3 days now, and I haven't gotten any progress. So we could just always just paint over that right there. We can just paint right over it, because the paint's the exact same color as the plastic. So you don't need to trip over that. That's a little bit. Yeah, let me get a little bit more. There we go. Just like a drop or two. That's all you need. You don't need that much. And there you go. Silver paint be gone. There you go. And when it comes to paint, besides just a touch up here and there, that's really... Oh, wait. Yeah, I just remembered. On his back, on the back of this one. Let me move his arms forward. This is, as I can tell, was a manufacturer issue. Wait, we got the red. But right there. Yeah, right there. Come on, focus. Right there. You can see how apparently the manufacturers kind of screwed up the paint and just had it move to the side. Obviously, you could just scratch it off yourself, but that takes a bit too much time, and I've already tried. So we can just paint over that. Right there. Again, the color is the exact same as the plastic. So we can just do some touch-ups. And that thing goes all the way up here. Yeah, you can see right there. Right there. Just touch up until all that red's gone. All that red is gone. Right there. And yeah, just like that, let the paint dry and you should be fine there. And the last thing, again, coming back to that, there's some spots right there that need touching up. Oh man, sorry, that shouldn't fall. And that's where the red paint comes in. The red paint pen. Make sure. Oh, with this type, it has like this little pseudo brush thing. So what do you have to do? Let me load the camera. Oh crap! That ice cream van's coming back. Okay, so let me bring it back there. You gotta shake it like you're doing graffiti, and you just gotta press it down. Yeah, you gotta keep doing it. And then slowly but surely you see how there's red showing up on that little brush. Yeah, just a cry. And right there, now it's full of red paint. And here comes the van! Okay, well, I'm just gonna put music over this, so screw the van. Just that. With that. And there you go. For the most part, yeah, painting, just touching up. That's really all we did. We just did some touch-ups on him. Just made sure the paint was in the proper spot, and that's it. So let's get that bucket back on. Now that's properly dried, and I also did like an adjustment here and there. Well, actually, one more thing. We're gonna take care of something with the bucket. Why do I keep saying bucket? It's a damn plow on him. Well, get back on topic. So, I'm sure if you guys have noticed, placing this piece right there, clicks right in, this one right here, clicks right in, there you go. Now, you notice how this one is a little floppy. So, I decided, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tighten these up, okay? Now, how are we gonna do that? With two different utensils. So let's get all this paint crap we don't need it anymore. And just flush it down. Get this one napkin. Place it to the side. Get all the paint to the side because you don't need paint anymore. We're gonna need this. I've had this for a while now. Fix loose joint. Let's do that. And a napkin. Yes. And you already saw that, but yes, this is a napkin from any, I don't know, for some reason a napkin from Little Caesars has done wonders for all my Transformers because it gives extra friction. But yeah. So I need to get a paper clip over this because it coming out, it always dries up and I have to keep sticking a paper clip in there to whoop and open it up. So let me get a paper clip and we're gonna get started in fixing these joints. Well, fixing his shovel. Fixing his plow so it's not so loose. So let's just pop these things back off again. Alrighty. Yeah. As I've said many times already, without these wings, a Menasor figure is practically worthless. So, obviously right here, this is where it pegs in, the holes in the back. So under normal circumstances, we would actually use this glue right here and then just apply it right there or apply it in a hole. And then this glue would harden just enough to make the joint tighter. But what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to put the glue right here. Then I'm going to put one thin layer of napkin just around it. And then we're going to stick it in and see how that works. So we'll do it right now. Okay, now to bring Menasor back into frame. If you notice in that little montage right there, I used that glue to just slightly glue all this stuff together. You know, just to cut those little strips of napkin and place them on the inside of that peg, because the peg kind of acts like a pseudo funnel. It's thicker here than it is there, so it's gonna stay in, but it's gonna be wobbly. But now that's slightly thicker. We'll see how it goes. So we're gonna stick this one in first. There we go. Okay, that looks fair. Now we're gonna stick this one in. This one's a little bit sloppier, but we'll see how it goes. Look at that. Let's open up his chest and see how it looks in there. So you see, it's still in there, the two pegs. And you can't, there you can see that one now. And right there, you can see how they turn. This one could be a little tighter, but this one's just fine. Yeah. Actually, no, we'll make this one a little thinner. Just it. But yeah, you can see how it held there. Yeah, so we're just gonna scratch a little bit of it off and we should be fine. Okay, now that I readjusted that fin, there we go. It has nice movement now. It's gonna have some wobble to it, but his entire body has wobble, so it's not just flailing around everywhere. So, okay, so enough of this. Now let's head back so we can get out of all this noise. Alrighty, now back in the room. We can take a good look at Menasor now. Going by his paint, looking at the back, seeing how everything dried very nicely. It also includes for the back pins, everything dried very, very nicely. There we go. Again, drill. Works, the electronics works, but I forgot to bring the damn key. But I guess before I wrap things up, we can see the proper benefits of having these mini-com ports on the outside. So I have quick mix right here. Strip mine. I do not have heavy load like I've already planned on in the beginning, but just like that. And I have two of these because of course I do. Right there. Now, Menasor can now have up to 6 mini-cons at a time. I don't see why not. Wow. Let's put that back. I did do a whole restoration for Quick Mix where the plan did happen, where I originally got this one Then I got another one, and then I grabbed parts, put it onto this one. For example, this arm, a piece of his head here, and that's why I have 2 of these. And I also had to readjust a few things with his what's it called, cement arm here. But I didn't record it, but maybe I can still do a teardown video on that one later. Let's put this side. Alright then. Well, that's pretty much it, yeah. I guess that's that's a teardown of Menasor. If you, in the event where your Menasor ever breaks or you need spare parts, I mean, if you need spare these, well then you're pretty much screwed. But if anything happens to the arms and if something happens to the legs, at the very least you now have an idea of what you can do to fix it. And I wouldn't say there's plenty online to get, but you can still get just regular Menasors without, just a bare Menasor with spare parts to use. Again, just in the event where your breaks, because we all know how much that costs. Well, I'm the viewer. Thank you for watching.